Guys, before I take you out on an adventure today, I just want to say a massive thank you to our friends at Lancaster Insurance. They are supporting us not only to go on Miners on Tour, but to adventure around the UK and beyond for a whole year. So I cannot wait to take you on loads of different adventures in Mary and show you lots of different exciting places that we're heading off to. If you haven't heard of Lancaster before, they're a UK classic car insurance specialist, and we're going to be supplying them with exclusive content throughout this adventure and beyond. So make sure you give them a follow. I've popped the link to their Instagram in my bio and also to their website as well, because it's definitely worth checking them out if you need to insure your classic car. So stay tuned, because we're about to go on a very exciting adventure in a very special little car called Mary. As I mess about with my friends in Mary the Morris Minor, I wanted to share some clips of our travels around Europe with you, because I know for some of you guys you're probably wondering what happens on Miners on Tour, so here we go. With nearly 1,000 miles covered this week, well, actually more than 1,000 when we add up all the different things that we've done, there's been so much footage to take and show you what we've been doing. And I wanted to not only show you some of the driving that we've done, I also wanted to show you some of the locations. So in this video today, I've kind of given you a little bit more of the locations of the places we visited, so you can see Miners on Tour is not just driving. This was one of our most exciting days. So I've sped the footage up a little bit because otherwise it gets a bit samey, and we started off in Belgium on the campsite. We drove through a little bit of France just because of the way that the land lies, and then we hit Germany, and then we hit Luxembourg too. And as you've probably seen from the blue sign we just passed, it's not a massive deal crossing over into different countries. And due to our location this year in Belgium and the bit of Belgium that we were in, we were only an hour away from Luxembourg city centre, and we were only kind of a little bit further on there, another 30 miles on into Germany. And on this particular day we headed off into Germany first, because we wanted to kind of say we'd been to Germany as well, and Luxembourg was quite easy to hit. And once you get going on these roads, I mean, they're fantastic, and it's so easy to start discovering new places. And it was so strange how roadsides just change languages, and we barely even noticed. So let me show you a few other bits. One of the things that we always do on Miners on Tour, and in fact every European little holiday that we take, we always try and find out a little bit about history, which tends to end up finding out about war history as well, because Europe, and for those of you who may not be in Europe may not know this, but was massively shaped by both of the world wars and different things that happened. And Bastogne, or as I pronounced it all the way through the trip, Bastogne, was massively affected by this, because something that I didn't know until we visited was that Hitler said, you know, this is one of the places that I have to have, and he made the soldiers fight until the very bitter end for this place. And there was so much damage, there was so much carnage, and this place got ruined by the war, got absolutely ruined, and they've rebuilt the town and they've rebuilt the surrounding areas with such thoughtfulness and beauty. And I mean, even right down to this memorial that I'm standing on today, it may look quite brutalist, it may look quite utilitarian, but it's beautiful. And I'm going to show you that all the US states, they're all engraved around the outside, because this is the American War Memorial, and it's incredibly moving, because as you walk out across, there are different points within it, and you can look out across different points of Bastogne and the surrounding areas, and it's a beautiful place to be. Actually, there's a lot of sentiment in it as well, and we've learned so much going through the museum today. And if you're visiting Europe or you're on one of these trips, I would say that it really is so imperative that you do go and look at the local history, that you do find out more about what's happened, and because they do say that if you don't learn about history, you are doomed to repeat it. Now let me show you what I saw at the front of the museum. For those of you who were wondering when we were going to get back to cars, here we are. These are a collection of Trabants which were displayed outside the Bastogne War Museum, and this was to do with the Berlin Wall exhibition. So if you look around the cars, you'll see sections of the Berlin Wall that they had on display, and these Trabants have been decorated to kind of go with the theme of some of the sections of the wall that were on show, and they were really cool. Unfortunately, we're not able to jump in and test drive. However, I am very keen now on visiting Berlin and do the Trabi tour, because honestly, these cars are awesome. After visiting Bastogne War Museum, it only seemed right that we visit this such a historically important Belgian town. And
honestly, you would never have known everything that had gone on here. All the buildings seem quite intact now, and there are places that you go to in Europe, very few and far between actually compared to the UK, where it is quite prevalent. There's been a lot of wartime carnage, and honestly you wouldn't have any clue here. All the buildings are beautiful, everything's very well laid out. It's very busy today. I mean, it's a bank holiday this week, so I wonder if it's tied into that and people have perhaps extended the bank holiday with a little extra break. But this is probably the busiest location we've been to on our break, and as you can see, realistically compared to the UK, it's not actually that bad. And one of the things that always strikes me when we visit these locations in Europe is just how many of the high street stores are open. For anybody who isn't in the UK and is tuning into this video, our high streets aren't looking as good as they were maybe 10-15 years ago, whereas over here you tend to see a lot more presence on the high street. You've got more people shopping, and you've got more shops, you've got more variety, everything's a bit more colourful and full of life. And secretly, I do wonder if some of that is down to the parking, because for those of you who may not know this, and something that always shocks me every time we go away, is that by and large most town centres in France, Belgium, and it appears to be Germany too, don't seem to charge parking or charge a very small amount. And perhaps all these people that are blaming internet shopping for the demise of the high street, actually we could probably solve a lot by looking at countries like France and Belgium and so on, and maybe reducing our parking charges in the town centre, because honestly it seems to be working for these guys, because their high streets are buzzing and alive and are brilliant to visit. You've probably noticed that we all seem to be jammed in the cars, but to give you a bit of insight, there are actually 6 of us on our little trip, and what we do is we tend to share ourselves out between the cars when we go out. So somebody will drive, and all the filming that you see me do, just for safety reasons and because it's not clever to play about with filming while driving, all the filming you see me do is actually whilst I'm a passenger and not the driver. One of my biggest bugbears in the UK is poorly maintained roads, whether that's those kind of potholes that ruin your suspension or just the roads that look like a patchwork quilt. I mean, the roads around us are absolutely terrible, and it's been a real pleasure to drive in Europe because they maintain their roads a lot better than us. And I think it's a combination of toll roads and also the fact that there are a lot less cars going over the same stretch of road than we have in the UK. And honestly, it's just such a pleasure to drive over here. It's not constant roadworks. There's none of this average speed camera stuff. It's pretty much just a nice little drive out, and it's been really relaxing. And you can get everywhere a lot quicker too. I mean, I'm sorry about the bugs on the windscreen. Again, it's just been such a big problem because we just can't keep the windscreens clean. But hopefully, this is giving you a little bit of insight into just how nice a drive Germany is and how much we've enjoyed these roads. You've probably been wondering whilst watching this video, how are they finding all these places? Now, it's hard to explain really, but we go through a few different methods of trying to find different places, and we use things such as TripAdvisor, always a really good bet to follow because you get a good idea of what's in an area. Google, so we tend to, if we're not completely following what it's offering in the Miners on Tour booklet, we tend to have a little Google of the local areas and find different places that we can go. And I'm not exactly sure how the boys found this place because right now we're filming in Germany, and I believe the way they did it was they had a look to see what was just over the border so that we could say, yay, we've made it to Germany, but without having to trek too far. And they did a little bit of Googling, had a look to see what each place had to offer, and we ended up here. And it is so pretty. I mean, it's one of those things that I've only explored Germany as kind of a very brief tourist previously. I've been to Berlin with my friend Kat, and I've previously done the German Christmas markets as well. And they've been very different because they've been in the big cities, and this is a little bit more of kind of the rural German towns. And we've actually had a little chat in German as well with the waitress, and I'm not entirely sure that she got what I was saying, but for those of you who get a little bit frightened about speaking a foreign language abroad, it's absolutely fine, and the locals actually appreciate it a little bit more if you have a bash. And even if it's not entirely correct, I think they appreciate the sentiment anyway. And if you're wondering how we've done it, because I didn't expect to go to Germany, I used Google Translate, which was possibly one of the best inventions ever made, along with Google Maps, my other favourite app. In true us style, we decided to throw health and safety out the window and go out on a toboggan ride. Now, I'm not entirely sure how the boys found this, but we went on these toboggans in Germany on our way back from a little town village visit, and it was such a laugh. And it proves that you don't just have to ride your car around an MOT, you can also ride around these shady toboggans that have absolutely no regard for health and safety whatsoever. And definitely, if I'd taken out any travel insurance for this holiday, it would have been completely void had I fallen off on this. And I was definitely doing all I could to fall off, because I was doing absolutely everything to get that toboggan going faster and faster. And on my second round, I was actually able to get up to 31 kilometers an hour, which is ridiculous considering we're basically sitting on what can only be described as little plastic sledges. And also I wanted to show you guys this bit as well, because it's not just about all the fuddy-duddy stuff that people think we do in the Morris Minor Owner Club. It's actually a proper laugh, and it's just brilliant. And as you can see, we've had lots and lots of fun on this trip. After throwing our whole bodies down the hill at great speed on the toboggan, we climbed on these little cable cars to have a look round this lovely rural bit of Germany that we were exploring, and it didn't disappoint. And it was so worth the €3 to look round, because sometimes when you're a passenger in the car or you're driving, you can't fully appreciate how beautiful places are. And I thought I'd pop it in the video, because quite often when we're behind the wheel and we're filming and stuff, you don't get the full picture. So hopefully this gives you a little bit of appreciation just how beautiful this part of Germany really is. This little bit of footage is actually slightly slower than other bits that we've put up, and that's because the road was not only very steep but really windy too, and we spotted it on our way back from going on the toboggans. And as if we hadn't scared ourselves enough with the toboggans and riding those little cable cars, we decided to hurtle down this little hill with all its twists and turns quite quickly really, but it was absolutely fine. I mean, there were lots of these motorhomes, look at the size of that, and they're just not designed for these roads and these bends. And it's actually quite fun to do in a Morris Minor, these little bends and twists, because in a normal car it would probably feel quite normal, but in a Morris Minor it actually feels quite fun as you whip it around the bends and stuff. And look at the scenery. I mean, I wish I could kind of explain to you how amazing it is as you come down these hills and twists and turns and you see all this beautiful scenery. I mean, honestly, these people have no idea how lucky they are. It's incredible here, and I know that we're kind of filming through the window here because it is quite hard to hang out of the window, and there's always that mild peril that we're about to lose the phone. And if we lose the phone on this trip, we have lost all the footage. So we've kind of reached a compromise really where we're filming through the windscreen, but hopefully you can kind of get a feel for what we're seeing and how beautiful it is here. And please excuse the bugs all over the windscreen, because it's just the nature and the wildlife here is absolutely insane. And we've just ended up with basically the cast of Bugs Life across the windscreen every single day, just because it's just, we're in such a rural area and it's just so full of nature and it's just beautiful really. And I really hope in this footage and the other videos from Miners on Tour, I've conveyed a sense of just how pretty some of Europe is. I mean, the bits that we've seen are just incredible. And, you know, whilst it may be that shops aren't open as much as we'd like them to be, and we've had to drive a fair way to some of the beautiful locations we've been at, it's been so worthwhile because all of these roads have been truly gorgeous. I really hope you've enjoyed our little video of the trip today. Now, if you're new to the channel, don't forget to hit subscribe. New videos go up every Wednesday and every Sunday. And until next time, take care and drive safely.